Hello, I'm David Chaston with 90 at 9, brought to you by interest.co.nz. This week, get everything you need to know in 90 seconds at 9 o'clock. With news, the price of Bitcoin has taken off in the past week and accelerating up even more in the past 24 hours. But first, in the real world, the OECD is reporting that growth in their 7 core economies slowed in the first quarter of 2017. But year on year, the composite growth is holding at 2% per year. In China, another area of strong growth is lottery sales that now exceed $10 billion per month and are growing at 10% a year. Sports lotteries are growing 15% a year. In a sign of a strong protectionist preference for its domestic industry, China is nearly doubling its tax on imported sugar, saying that an investigation had found that imports have seriously damaged China's sugar industry. It said the tax on imports beyond the first 2 million tonnes a year will be raised to 95% from the current 50%, effective immediately. The Belt and Road Initiative is pushing products for China out into the world, not so much the other way, it seems. In Europe, Portugal has become the latest bailed-out Eurozone country to receive a clean bill of health from the European Commission after its budget deficit fell to 2% of GDP last year. This brings it well below the EU limit of 3% and allows it to exit the Commission's excessive debt procedure. In Australia, now 2 banks have estimated the tax impact on them of the new penalty on their top 5 banks. Firstly, Westpac said it would cost them $280 million in the first year. Now CBA says it'll cost them $220 million. These estimates are not likely to impress the Aussie Treasurer, who is planning to raise over $6 billion from the tax on their 5 largest banks. And yesterday, S&P cut the ratings of 23 Aussie financial companies, but spared the big banks, perhaps another signal that the new tax won't shake their profitability materially. In New York, the US Treasury 10-year yield is marginally higher today at 2.25%. The yield inversion in China got even steeper overnight, going from -3 to -7 basis points. That is a quick move, and it's just as pronounced on the 210 curve. The price of oil is slightly firmer today. The US crude benchmark is now just over $50.50 a barrel, while the Brent benchmark is just over $53.50 a barrel. Gold is unchanged, however, at $1,252 an ounce. Meanwhile, the Kiwi dollar is higher again and now at 69.9 US cents. On the cross rates, the Kiwi is at 93.5 Aussie cents and 62.2 Euro cents. The TWI is at 74.1, a 10-day high. And Bitcoin broke through the 2,000 US dollar barrier for the first time overnight, taking its month-to-date gain to 55%. In fact, the price right now is over $2,200. The rise can partially be explained by high demand in China and that Japan recently allowed it to be legal tender there. Being up 10% on the day, however, is just another way of saying it's in a bubble frenzy. I'm David Chaston. That was 90 at 9, brought to you by interest.co.nz.